I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you for joining us for our Monday weather update recorded on September the 11th. Well, New Zealand has a cool down this week after a very warm weekend. And I say very warm, I mean very warm for this time of the year. And that's due to the northerly winds created by the big high that is now moving away out to the east. But the northerly and subtropical airflow that was coming down for some places really did push the temperatures up 4 to 8 degrees above average for New Zealand over the weekend. But this week coming up, the change that was cold on Friday and Saturday for Australia is what I would describe as cool for New Zealand. It's not quite as brutal as it was for Aussie. The storm itself has tracked a long way down here and has deepened into a entirely new system. But we've got a southerly portion coming up and across New Zealand. So temperatures do drop. Not as bad as you think they might be, though, for this time of the year. Sometimes a southerly can be very bad, but this one is not too bad. A lot of westerly wind coming out of Australia for the week ahead. So let's take a look at the rainfall. Next 24 hours, just a few downpours around the north. 1 or 2 of those are heavy. Keep an eye on the radar. It's that sort of rain where it's in the forecast, but it's broken up. And so if you're not looking at the radar, it might be a little bit frustrating, but not a huge amount coming. And those in the east from about wide or southwards, not very much at all. There's a tiny bit of snow on the way, not much, just 0.1 to maybe 2 centimetres, and that is mostly now up on the tops of the mountains. There's another burst of snow at the end of the week though. So let's have a look at Australia. This is for the next 5 days ahead. Western Australia getting up to about 30 millimetres. There are some storms in the Southern Ocean brushing past you. Elsewhere, a lot drier than it's been. Just still a few coastal showers around Cairns, but unfortunately, they're not penetrating very far inland for those who do need the rain. So here we are on Tuesday, big area of high pressure. That is driving in warmer weather after the cold change you had in Australia last week. But for New Zealand, in the thick of it on Tuesday, coldest air around, a few snow flurries on the mountains again on Tuesday. That map we just showed you for the next 24 hours. But later across Tuesday, another dusting of snow comes back in again. Nothing huge. It's again just a light dusting. And for the north, a few showers around. There might be a little bit of snow on the top of Mount Turupehu and Mount Taranaki this week. Won't be very much, won't be a huge amount, but a little bit coming through for you. But the high pressure zone is the main feature, and also the storm down here near Antarctica, part of the reason why Perth and the southwestern corner of Australia back into the stormy stuff this week, especially around the middle of the week. Over in New Zealand and the eastern side of Aussie though, big high pressure belt stretching out. We're on the outer edges of it, so showers, sou'westers, that's why temperatures are down a bit for the New Zealand area this week. Now, once we get to Thursday, we've got a new low pressure zone just south of New Zealand. That's going to crank up the winds. So west to northwest winds pick up, which means it'll be mild before the cold change comes and starts to move through. So Thursday for the eastern side of New Zealand looks fairly mild. Thursday night, Friday, they don't, because that will be when this passes through. And that windy weather moves into Adelaide, Melbourne, that nor'wester, pushing temperatures up 26, 27 degrees coming in for you by the end of the week. And a stunning week in Sydney with high pressure mostly dominating for you. But you notice here on Friday, there is the next cold surge up and across New Zealand. It does bring a dusting of snow to the North Island's central plateau, might even get into the desert road. We'll talk about that later in the week. Won't be a huge amount, but if you're traveling, it's always an issue. So that's coming through. So it's a wintry or very unsettled end to the week for New Zealand and for Tasmania with the windy conditions. We've also got a low up here. For those interested in the tropics, we're doing a special 7-day tropical outlook today. So have a look for that video if you're more interested in seeing what's going on here. Now, as we go into the weekend, in comes the high. Typical spring ups and downs. So Friday, bit of a rubbish day in New Zealand. Saturday, not too bad. The high pressure zone from Aussie comes in. Could be some frosts around. And look at all the isobars down here. This is a classic spring setup. Windy westerlies blowing along. But on top of that, El Nino. We've been talking about it all year. It's like turning a ship. It takes a long time to happen. And it's amazing how the computer modeling was picking this up a year ago, talking about El Nino. Well, we're starting to see it. Weather maps like this one, with the exception of the low up here, this is very much what we're going to be seeing more of. Highs crossing Australia, especially eastern Australia where it's already becoming dry, and then they spread out over New Zealand. And if you don't have, or if we in New Zealand don't have that high pressure zone, we have the windy westerlies around it instead, which is arguably worse. So that's the reason why there's so much talk about the drier conditions that are moving in, and they're already being felt now in the east. Some of you in the west may not be feeling it just yet, but if you look at your rainfall numbers, you'll notice that it is starting to drop, even though you're still getting showers every day or two. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. The next update from the Bureau of Meteorology in Australia is tomorrow, Tuesday, as they look at El Nino. So we'll be watching that very closely. We do expect an announcement this month. At the very latest, it'll be early October, but I would imagine it's very close to being announced. Both NIWA and the Bureau of Meteorology, New Zealand and Australia governments are both suggesting that. That is all from me for today. Back again tomorrow with our next update. And remember our special, I was going to say specific Pacific, but that sounds crazy. Our special Pacific video update will be out today, taking a look at the next 7 days, covering the South Pacific, but also Hawaii as well. So we'll see you for that video. Otherwise, back again tomorrow with our next update. We'll see you then.